Good morning. Well, is it a holiday? Did we have a time change? I don't know what's going on this morning. I guess there's just a day to be outdoors, maybe. But welcome to all of you who are here. You have arrived at Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, whether you intended to or not. This is the right place for you right now. And for those of you online, particularly if you're joining us for the first time, thanks for being with us this morning. I'm Reverend Mary Murray Shelton. I am the community spiritual leader here of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. Welcome, everybody. And the first thing we're going to do is say good morning to one another. So I want to invite you to stand up and walk around, introduce yourselves to people you don't know, welcome people back, and just generally make each other welcome. And those of you online, do the same for yourself. Get a cup of coffee, give yourself a hug, and we'll be right back with you in just a minute.
The parking lot is full, so maybe people are trying to find this place.
Yes, that makes sense. Thanks, Galen. And Galen very kindly let me know that the parking lot is full. So it may be that some of our folks are driving around trying to find a place to park. We'll hold that thought for the moment, just in case. Daniel Nahmad is our special musical guest this morning. We always love it when we have Daniel because he's so alive and effusive and funny and personable. At the same time, just be aware that Daniel always has a lot to say. So he introduces all but one of his songs with a certain amount of conversation this morning. So I'm going to have you stand when he gets to that point rather than standing up through the first minute or so while he's talking to all of us. But here's Daniel Nahmad. We've sung this song with him before. Oh, well, you've already done that. And here's Daniel, as you know. Yeah. And you don't need to stand yet. All right. Okay, here he goes.
Hey, Golden Gate, it's me. Remember this guy? I was there in person with you, which means you don't have to imagine how dazzlingly tall I am. Right now you know what an imposing physique I have. Right? Who's ready to sing? Let's do it.
Okay, now you can stand.
All I have to say is, thank God for the low-resolution camera on this laptop. I'm reaching out to feel the infinite. I'm reaching out to know the divine. I'm reaching out to feel the infinite. Yeah, forever is already mine. Sing it again. I'm reaching out to feel the infinite. I'm reaching out to know the divine. I'm reaching out to feel the infinite. Yeah, forever is already mine. I'm already there. I'm already home. I'm already safe in my eternal soul. I'm already there. I'm already home. I'm already safe in my eternal soul. I'm going deep. I'm going deep. I'm going deep to feel the infinite. I'm going deep to know the divine. I'm going deep to feel the infinite. Yeah, forever is already mine. I'm already there. I'm already there. I'm already home. rising up to feel the infinite. I'm rising up to know the divine. I'm rising up to feel the infinite. If forever is already mine, I'm already there. I'm already there. I'm already home. I'm already safe in my eternal soul. I'm already there. I'm already home. I'm already safe in my eternal. Sing it again. I'm already there. I'm already home. I'm already safe in my eternal soul. I'm already there. I'm already home. I'm already safe in my eternal soul.
Well
Nice
done,
job.
everybody. Give
And
yourselves a hand.
good morning.
So now is the time to go ahead and silence your cell phone. You don't have to turn it off, but just make sure it's not making any noise so that we can stay in the consciousness that we're creating together. And now that we've had a chance to say good morning and sing together, and by the way, you sound terrific this morning, we're going to move within for our morning centering, which will be done by our prayer practitioner, Leslie Janetti.
Just turning within to our sacred center is the home of all life, the home of the universe. There exists the rhythm, the pattern of divine perfection unfolding. I recognize this as the one infinite life, which is always moving upon itself as divine order. It recreates everything, it remolds everything, it remakes everything in its image. And that each one is a unique vessel for the wholeness and the divine pattern of perfection of this infinite life, which moves upon each one. It rearranges every cell and atom. It remolds every thought and concept, and it recreates each one new, every moment by moment by moment. So I speak my word for each one, and I claim an opening in consciousness now, just to let go and release anything that might seem too big or too small, to release anything that might seem limiting or separate, just letting it go, just releasing it back into the no-thingness, where the infinite life just dissolves it. And I replace it with the resonant realization that the infinite life is the magnificent, omnipresent all in all within each one. It is the substance of creative thought and power. It guides each one every moment by moment, and accepting the inner guidance is accepting the mighty I am presence, which continues to move each one forward in the deepest, fullest self-expression for the ultimate fulfillment and realization of truth of being, realization of oneness. And even in today's service, there is a resonant realization of oneness being expressed through Reverend Mary and through the music and through the connection between each one. So I celebrate the infinite life within each one, which is the home center of the universe itself. And I release my word to the law of mind, which brings my word into form and focus for the greater good, and so it is. Amen.
It isn't like I've always wondered what I was made of, or is this really me? I've only recently discovered I've always stood in the shadows of expectations of me. Well, now that I see there's no judge, there's no jury. Now that I know I can take my own road, I feel a freedom that I have never known. It's about unbecoming what I never was. It's about unlearning what was never true. It's about unbelieving all the lies that I've been told. Unbecoming is the story of my soul. Everybody's name is given. Nobody asks us who we really are. But after so many years of living, you wouldn't think the answer would still feel so far. I'm slow, I'm smart, I'm accounting, I'm art, I'm left brain or right, I'm a morning person or night. Well, maybe it's time to step outside those lines and see who I find. 'Cause it's about unbecoming what I never was. It's about unlearning what was never true. It's about unbelieving all the lies that I've been told. Unbecoming is the story of my soul. The scariest thing is offending, disappointing everyone's vision of who I should be. But the only way home is to fly on my own till I know, till I see. It's about unbecoming what I never was. It's about unlearning what was never true. It's about unbelieving all the lies that I've been told. Unbecoming is the story of my soul. Unbecoming is coming home. Thanks.
I always love it when we have Daniel because it gives me some kind of nourishment before I even start at the beginning of the service. So I hope that you enjoyed the music from him this morning. I'm thinking about our theme this year of living out loud. And sometimes the idea of being loud seems like being obnoxious or intrusive or oblivious to other people. And so I just want to say that living out loud for us is just being our authentic selves and not being afraid to do that, not being afraid to be honestly who we are. And so this month we're talking about why our core values matter, and I'm focusing on the core values that we as a spiritual community identified as ours. So last week I spoke about spiritual growth, or about community. Today I'm speaking about spiritual growth, the second one in the series of our core values. And this morning then, my topic is all growth is spiritual growth. Even when you're a little kid and you're growing physically and you have to get new shoes every year and new clothes to go to school, or new clothes for the summer, or new something or other for some kind of holiday or party or birthday or something like that, we're constantly adjusting to the changes in our bodies. And that is not just physical growth, but it's also emotional and spiritual and intellectual. It's all kinds of growth. But even as we get to the stage where we're not physically changing as much or as noticeably fast as we are when we're children, everything that happens to us is actually spiritual growth. Every decision we make, everything we learn, everything we do, because everything that happens to us offers us a momentary, or maybe longer than a moment, opportunity to say, yes, I will take on this learning, or no, I'm not doing this. In which case, it doesn't go away. It just waits for us until a little more adds on to that, or a little more adds on to that, until we're finally willing to say, oh, okay, I'll let that one in now. There are comedians out there in the world who have made a career out of pointing out these kinds of moments to us. And long before I was around, I think, at least I don't recall ever actually seeing this man live. Will Rogers was a humorist who very often threw out something that was pithy and a little funny and painfully true. In terms of advice, he was speaking about things that are learned through experience and making these recommendations. Never slap a man who's chewing tobacco. Never kick a cow chip on a hot day. And he says there are three kinds of men. The ones that learn by reading, a few learn by observation, the rest of them have to pee on the electric fence and find out for themselves. And then another one of these, after eating an entire bowl, a mountain lion felt so good he started roaring, kept it up until a hunter came along and shot him. More of the story, when you're full of bull, keep your mouth shut. So these bits of advice, generally we recognize them as true because we can imagine what the consequence would be if we didn't do those things, even if we haven't specifically experienced these turning points of learning. But somebody did. Maybe Will Rogers, maybe somebody else, maybe he observed it or heard it. But we understand that those moments that are embarrassing or painful or shocking become lodged in us as learning so that we don't do those things again. I think Daniel Nahmod had a song, or later on today, he sings a song where he says he at least hopes that all the mistakes he made today were new ones, not mistakes he already made before, so that we take the opportunity to learn from what's happening to us. On the internet, I found this definition of spiritual growth. It said, spiritual growth is the process of awakening to your true nature, purpose, and potential. When you undergo spiritual growth, you experience an expansion in awareness and insight, also known as higher consciousness. All spiritual growth has one objective: to help you embody your soul or higher self. So there always is that wiser, energetic part of us that's never separate from the infinite. Now, none of us is ever separate from the infinite, but we learn to think of ourselves as individuals. So necessarily we're separate from other individuals, or we wouldn't be individual. And what Ernest Holmes pointed out is we appear to be individuals, but what we actually are is individualized. We are expressions of the one, the infinite presence, the mystery, God, whatever you want to call it. were expressions of that omnipresent beingness rather than being distinctly separate individuals. Years ago, Reverend Dr. Marcia Sutton and Lloyd Strom put a whole bunch of curriculum together. In fact, Quick Start comes from their curriculum, and some of the other things that we use have been taken from their curriculum. This is one of the things that I found from them that I think is particularly, and maybe in some cases painfully, true. The process of spiritual growth has the possibility of being quick, clean, and deep. But usually, it can only be two of the three at the same time. We must decide which two we want to experience. So, the definitions of these: quick. We all live in a fast-mood society where it's difficult to sustain any effort over a long period of time. Consequently, any prolonged process that is excessively slow and tedious may not be well received. Clean. It is human nature to avoid any kind of experience that disturbs us emotionally. Consequently, any process that contains elements of fear, conflict, and upset generally will be avoided. And deep. In order to produce meaningful results, we must initiate fundamental changes deep within our being. Consequently, any process that does not involve deep inner work will ultimately be fruitless. So then they describe what happens when you put two of them together. So you choose two. Quick plus clean. A process that is both quick and clean will be relatively shallow. Clean and deep. A process that is both clean and deep will be relatively slow. Quick and deep. A process that is both quick and deep will always be relatively messy. So we get to choose whether we want something that is shallow or that is slow or that is messy. And probably if I had to choose two of three, knowing my level of patience, I would go for messy. I've always thought that growth was naturally messy like childbirth, but what you get is worth it, worth the mess, worth the struggle, worth the pain, right? And so for me, I intellectually, let me be clear about this, I intellectually want to go quick and deep. But I do resist discomfort, and I do resist lengthy process. So that could mean that even though I say I want quick and deep, I actually prefer shallow or slow, where I either won't have to go deep and messy, or I won't have to be confronted with uncomfortable feelings. Anybody else relate to that? It seems like the most reasonable thing to do is to go quick and deep, but not all of us can do that all the time, nor should we. So sometimes shallow is just fine. It is still movement, it's something. Sometimes slow is really what we need to actually absorb and embody what it is we're trying to learn. And quick and deep, I think, often comes from trauma or tragedy or some kind of a cataclysmic event that forces us to go quick and deep, rather than that we always dive in quick and deep. There are those folks out there who do, and I bless them in amazement all the time. But I think that a lot of us take our time. So we first have the experience of growth from mistakes and accidents, things that go wrong. Not necessarily big things, but things that go wrong. The dropped ice cream, right? And if we experience something like that, when we were really looking forward to it, when we really had embodied the idea of experiencing it, and then it gets taken away from us, or it falls apart, or goes away, then we're likely to feel disappointed. And when we feel disappointed, the moment that we feel that, we have an opportunity to recognize that we had attached something to that. And it was our attachment to that idea of what was coming that's causing us pain. So in that moment, we can continue to mourn over what we're disappointed about. That's an option. And if we do that, we get certain results that teach us something. Or in the moment, we can say, I do not need to be attached to that particular thing. It's not that important, or to that experience or that circumstance. I can choose to let that go right now. And if we make that choice, that takes us on a different little tributary of learning. You with me here so far? Yeah? Okay, then we have mistakes that we make. Maybe we speak out of turn, or we speak our mind in a way that's a little too blunt or not really welcome, and we find ourselves getting caught, and we feel embarrassed about that. Now, when people feel embarrassed about something, generally speaking, that's an uncomfortable enough feeling that we want to not feel embarrassed as soon as possible. So people either become angry in response to that, or apologetic and regretful and remorseful. But whatever we're doing to try and get out of feeling embarrassed is really kind of a defensive response. We're trying to defend partly against the other person's recognition that we've screwed up, and partly against our own feeling of embarrassment because we too feel like we screwed up. So we in that moment have the option then to, if we're angry, notice that we're angry about that. That maybe what we're angry about with the person who pointed out that we made the mistake, we're angry because we know they're right. Or if we get apologetic, we're trying to diffuse their recognition that we just screwed up. We don't want that to be their permanent impression of us. So we do that, but it's also to push away that sense of embarrassment, to diffuse it somehow. And that takes us into a different kind of learning, a different kind of spiritual growth. Or we could say, oh wow, you're right, I really screwed up. How embarrassing. Now, you've not only noticed the feeling, you've owned it. And then it can dissipate a little more easily because you can stand in it with a kind of integrity that takes character and strength. So it corrects your own impression, lets you off the hook for, yep, I did it. And it also allows the other person to have the experience of seeing somebody take responsibility for screwing up without falling apart or getting mad. So we have a pathway, a tributary of spiritual growth with that choice. So you see what I'm saying, that whatever choice we make, whatever we did or didn't do, however it went for us, there is a result that will come forward, and that result gives us information, and that information can cause spiritual growth for us. Or we can defer it for the time being, but we never get to defer it forever. Stephen Covey said, be patient with yourself. Self-growth is tender. It's holy ground. There's no greater investment. So I sometimes think about how impatient I can get about things. My son is such a model for me because he's a very patient person. I have no idea where that came from in him. I guess he brought it with him when he came in. He's a very patient person, and it just reminds me how much space it gives us to learn when somebody is patient. So if I can be patient with myself, then I can also be patient with other people about their own learning process, yes? And that, I think, is probably true for most of us. Scott Peck said, everything that happens in life is there to aid our spiritual growth. And Ernest Holmes wrote in Creative Mind and Success, the substance that we deal with, the creative stuff, the substance that we deal with in itself is never limited. But we often are, because we draw only what we believe. Because we are limited, there's no reason why the universe should have limitation. Our limitation is only our unbelief. Life can give us a big thing or a little thing. Life doesn't care. That little tag at the end is mine. So the limit, we set the limit. So when we defer our spiritual growth, we've set a limit. I'm not going to take that lesson right now. That's too uncomfortable. It's too messy. I don't understand it. So I'm just going to leave it there for now. I don't want to take that one on as my own. And that's fine. That's an option that we have in that process. So we're going forward and we're making mistakes and we're screwing up. And, you know, when I was little, I used to think that there would be a point in my life when I would be grown up and then there wouldn't be any more mistakes. And I was looking forward to that safety level of, you know, getting there, being an adult and having it figured out. And as I got older, I began to recognize that an awful lot of adults around me didn't seem to have it figured out. Now, at first, it seemed to me like that was just something wrong with them. And then the older I got, the more I recognized that, wow, nobody really got it yet. Nobody was there. Who was I supposed to look to, you know, to look up to? And then I began to discover that I had mentors who had this way of owning mistakes without taking on guilt or shame, just taking the lesson, honestly, taking responsibility, laughing at themselves, going right on. And now I can do that once in a while. And so there were people who knew something, maybe not everything. They weren't off the hook from making mistakes any more than I am now or you are. But they were models, and so can we be, even, you know, warts and all, as people say, even with our mistakes. Then we also have growth from our successes and our triumphs. Because when we're successful, if I'm successful, then I have different choices about how I carry that success. Am I modest about it? Do I recognize that I had this success not just because of myself all alone, but also because of those who encouraged me or supported me or educated me or helped me along the way? I never did it all by myself. So can I be modest enough or humble enough to recognize, rather than being arrogant or bragging, that, yeah, this is a great thing that happened. This is a great thing that I got to do and achieve, and I had all this support to do it. Yeah? Does that make sense? And then, so if I do that, then I have that kind of growth. If I'm arrogant and bragging, that opens up a different possibility, because we know the way that creative law works. What I put out returns to me. So if that's the way I operate, eventually that's going to smack me somehow. And I can either learn from that or not as I go forward. Once again, if I defer the learning, the opportunity will come back again and again to learn that. But if it's someone else's triumph and success, then how do I respond? Am I envious? Am I minimizing that success? Am I minimizing that person? Am I criticizing something else about them? Particularly if that person accomplished something and we were rivals and we were competing and we were both trying to accomplish that. You know, Amanda was watching the Women's Open yesterday, and there were two excellent women tennis players, and they were vying for the top position in this particular round. And the girl that won, the young woman who won $3 million. And the woman who lost won $1.5 million. Now, who was the loser? You know, I look at that going, she came in second, she won $1.5 million. Losing it looks so bad, right? So it's all relative how we talk to ourselves about that. I would imagine that she felt bad that she didn't win, that she decided that she would learn from her mistakes with that other person's technique, see what she could learn so that she would know how to respond when she's pitted against that competitor again. Yeah? This is how teams and sports and strategies and politics, people pay attention to what worked, what didn't work, what would counter this, What would help me overcome this particular weakness of my own? So they have that whole trajectory of growth when they win, or when they lose, and when they win, on the other side, am I arrogant? Am I humble? How do I live this triumph? And so if I'm watching and I'm the competitor and I am jealous or envious because I wish that were me, or I would like to be able to do that, or I even think that I could do that, but I didn't do it in this particular instance well enough, or for whoever it was who was judging, I was not as good as the other person. And I have to decide, how am I going to hold that? When I was the minister in Huntington Beach, I was also the director of a school of ministry. And so with practitioners and with ministerial students, when they went for their licensing, they would take a written test, right? And if they passed all of the written tests, and this is true for practitioners and ministers, hey, Mark, they take the written test, and if they pass it, then they have to go before a panel and have an oral exam. And some pass and some don't. So when a practitioner did not pass an exam, or when a ministerial student did not pass the oral exam, they would have to come and talk to me. And I would tell them what the advantages were actually for them as a student with not passing. Because the advantage was they weren't quite there yet. And if they were to take another year to get ready and use some coaching, they would be even better when they came back for their orals next year. And I always knew who was going to do well and who wasn't based on their reaction to this conversation. Some people were very angry that they had spent all that money, taken all those classes, passed the written exam, and now they were going to be kept out because this panel of 3 people, these jerks, didn't know how good they were. Or they might not have been that harsh about it, but they felt like it wasn't fair, like they deserved it. And when they left my office, very often those people would not continue. They would not pursue what was recommended. They would not come back for licensing. That was the end of that. And so when somebody reacted that way, and this was universally true with ministerial students and with practitioners, I often thought when they left in a huff, their panel was exactly right. They're not ready. Others were crushed, but they didn't go to that defensive, angry place. Instead, they said, what can I do? I'm not sure where I'm weak. I don't know what happened, or I got nervous, and I would tell them about the practitioners or ministers I knew who had failed the first time, who were so fabulous because they followed the recommendations, they came back in a year and retested, and they were confident, solid, grounded, magnificent. And those who chose out of that group to take that to heart and go do the work, they always passed, and they were always amazing, every time. So sometimes the loss is the gift that makes them really effective at the next step in their life as a minister or practitioner, or whatever the path might be. Ernest Holmes said, Mark Batterson said, half of spiritual growth is learning what we don't know. The other half is unlearning what we do know. And sometimes it's the unlearning that we're stuck in, and we still have beliefs that are tripping us up in our process. And we have to get to the point where we're willing to release some of those things we're really attached to as beliefs that are clearly in our way. Ernest Holmes wrote in Living Without Fear. Ernest Holmes, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is the founder of Centers for Spiritual Living. He wrote, success means mental growth and spiritual attainment, and includes an abundance of those things which make living enjoyable. As the greater includes the lesser, so mental and spiritual growth includes material success, bringing with it personal happiness and temporal satisfaction. So when we're not experiencing those things at the level that we would like to, there's a clue. It's time for mental growth and spiritual attainment. It's time for more practice or more classes or more sessions with a practitioner or a therapist. And then putting the tools to use that they give us. We find as we do this that whether we like it or not, growth comes as a result of just being alive. Life reveals our growing edges, and if we don't see them, for sure somebody will point them out to us. How many of you are parents in this room? Now, when your first child was born, did you absolutely know what you were doing? Of course not. Not at all. And yet you grew into it, yeah? So I'm imagining that the parent holding this little baby is infused with delight, thinking about how wonderful this child is going to be, what a gift it is, how much they're going to enjoy it, and how close they're going to be in relationship, and how delightful it's going to be. And they haven't yet hit the wall, which will happen when the baby cries all night for the first time, and nothing you do will calm them down. It happens when they get a high fever, and nobody knows why, and you have to do something about that. All the crises of life that happen with growing up that we experienced, to some degree, our kids experience those, or different ones. We don't get to take their pain away when they go through those, but we experience pain too when they're experiencing pain. We learn to become parents, and it's not all a smooth ride, right? Maybe for some of you it was a smooth ride. I mean, I have to say, my son was pretty easy overall, but even so, it wasn't a smooth ride. So when there's big challenges, it's definitely a bigger ride, bigger hills to climb, bigger chasms to wander down into, and so on. Being a parent, like being a minister, is a lesson to learn in public, because we get to that stage as parents where our kids realize we're not there yet. We don't have it all figured out. We make mistakes too. And generally, they'll tell us. Generally, when they catch us in a mistake, ooh, that's delicious. They're going to make sure and tell us about it, right? So the process of being a parent really is a commitment to spiritual growth. Even if you never go to church, you never heard of God, you have no idea what any of that's about, you cannot help but grow. Here's the thing about life. When we're on a spiritual path, we sit down and pray, and we want to enter in to alignment with the presence. Sometimes in traditional religion, when you kneel on the prayer rug, or you kneel down to pray, or you're chanting or davening, you're praying to something somewhere away from you. But the truth is, if God is omnipresent, then at every single moment that we're alive, we're in that presence and it's in us, always. And because that's true, growing is happening, like it or not. Even the person who seems to do it the slowest, the person who seems to get it the least or last, the person we despair of ever getting it, there's still something happening over there, whether we know it or not. And that's the deep grace of being a human being, that we can be on the path for our whole lifetime, and that process is growing us. Even when we despair of how well we're learning, there is always more to be discovered and learned. Always. It doesn't matter how long or short our life is, how saintly or not we are, it's going to happen. Joy and sorrow, success and failure, birth and death, at least of the physical form, this physical form. Even though we look at ourselves, as Ernest Holmes taught us, as alive eternal beings who didn't start with birth and don't end at the death of the form. That we still, just because we know that, doesn't mean that we're not experiencing it at the same time. Here's a little story that was written a long time ago that speaks about this process of learning and growing, and why it is sometimes that we look at somebody else and we cannot figure out why they're doing what they're doing. Anybody ever have that experience of looking at somebody you care about or know and not being able to understand why they're doing what they're doing? Okay. Down below the surface of a quiet pond lived a little colony of water bugs. They were a very happy colony, living far away from the sun. For many months, they were very busy scurrying over the soft mud at the bottom of the pond. They did notice that every once in a while, one of their colonies seemed to lose interest in going about. Clinging to the stem of the pond lily, it gradually moved out of sight and was seen no more. "Look," one water bug said to another one afternoon, "one of us is climbing up the lily stalk. Where do you think she's going?" Up it slowly went. Even as they watched, the water bug disappeared from sight. Its friends waited, but it never returned. "That's funny," said one water bug. "Wasn't she happy?" asked a second. "Where do you suppose she went?" went a third. No one had an answer. They were greatly puzzled. Finally, one of the water bugs, a leader of the colony, gathered its friends together. "I have an idea. The next one of us who climbs up the lily stalk must promise to come back and tell us where he or she went and why." "We promise," they all answered. One spring day, soon after that, the very water bug who'd suggested the plan found himself climbing up the lily stalk. Up he went before he knew what was happening. He had broken through the surface of the water and fallen onto the broad green lily pad above. When he awoke, he couldn't believe what he saw. A startling change had come to his old body. His movement revealed 4 silver wings and a long tail. Even as he struggled, he felt an impulse to move his wings, and the warmth of the sun soon dried the moisture from the new body. He moved his wings again, and suddenly he found himself up above the water. He had become a dragonfly. Swooping and dipping in great curves, he flew through the air. He felt exhilarated in the new atmosphere. And by, the new dragonfly lighted happily on a lily pad to rest. And then it was he chanced to look down to the bottom of the pond. And he saw that he was just above his old friends, the water bugs. There they were, scurrying around, just as he had been doing not long before. The dragonfly remembered the promise he'd made, and without thinking, he darted down, but he hit the surface of the water and bounced off. As a dragonfly, he couldn't go back in the water. "At least I tried," he said sadly, "but I can't keep the promise. Even if I could, none of the water bugs would recognize me now. Oh well. When they become dragonflies, they'll understand what happened and where I went." And the dragonfly winged off into its wonderful new world of sun and air. We don't always get to know what it is that is prompting somebody else's behavior, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever we think it looks like to us. We don't know what the lesson is they're working on. Maybe they don't either. Something prompts them to climb up the lily pad, whatever that means. Good or bad from our judgment perspective. But that spiritual growth, that learning, is trying to take place right then and there, right through whatever it is. It doesn't mean we have to understand. It doesn't mean we have to approve. But it can be helpful for us to recognize that even if it looks like it's about being stuck, it's really about confronting again something that has been deferred and having to make a decision about whether or not to take that lesson in now or later. All of us are free to make that choice, and it's okay. It's okay to wait. It may get louder. It could get more uncomfortable until we welcome the lesson, but that's a different story. We still have the right to say yes or no in that moment. Does this make sense? Yes? So we want to take that opportunity then to allow ourselves some slack, to forgive ourselves when the 2x4 hits us because we've been deferring that lesson for such a long time, to let it go and go ahead and take the lesson in, let that be, and to celebrate those moments when we can see and know that we're moving forward. Yes? All right, so let's take a moment now to take this within and anchor this for ourselves. In this moment, here and now, all of us in this room, all of us online, we together recognize the divine presence of mystery all around us, under our feet, in the air that we breathe, the chair that we're sitting in, and within ourselves. There is an unbroken wholeness of the one. And not only that, but in every atom of our being is the wholeness of it. It's never diminished or made small, no matter how large or small what it is within. It fills its fullness in every speck, and we are that. The mind of God is the mind we are using, specializing it for our own good. And so we claim learning this morning, knowing that that mind within us knows everything that needs to be known. We know that what we need to know is available to us moment by moment. And so right now, we invite our intuition to turn and open those gates, to welcome the information, the awareness, the skill, the feeling, the forgiveness, the patience, the self-kindness that we need to allow that to come more deeply into our awareness, because it's already there. We allow it to come more deeply into revealing to us the truth of who we are, into letting go of the beliefs that are causing us discomfort, pain, frustration, sadness. Confront the belief instead of clinging to the feeling. I claim right here and now that we can do that. That in fact it is already taking place in us because there is a larger wholeness that we truly are. And we do not need to cling to the old feeling or the old belief. So right now, I declare that the beliefs that are nearest to being released from us, we now let go. We let them dissolve into their native nothingness. We stand freed of those. And we are deeply grateful for this action of the creative law, for this awareness of its activity, and for our own consciousness in allowing it. We let go of anything unlike this belief right now, so we clear the way of any obstacle, allowing that creative law to fully manifest for us this greater freedom. And for that, we are relieved and delighted and grateful. So we send this prayer into the creative law now and let it go, knowing that the law always says yes, the only thing it can say. And we let it go into the divine vibration, the divine presence and awareness of the one, the mystery, God, where it always was the truth. We simply let it go and let it be. And so it is. Yes. And please stand now and join me with the morning's affirmation as we say this together. There is no big or small to God. Every increment matters. I am willing to take small steps without competition or judgment because I know this. I have been growing spiritually since my first breath. Every choice I make is part of this growth. And so it is. Thank you. You may be seated. And I want to invite our ushers to come forward now. This is the time of our sacred offering. Our presence here is the first offering that we bring to Golden Gate, the very fact that we're here in the room. Another gift is our talent, those of us that volunteer, that serve, that give. Our third gift is our financial contributions, our tithes and offerings. So when we give those, just like with our presence and our service and our talent, we are contributing to the larger whole, not just to Golden Gate, because it's Golden Gate's role to continue to pass that on with blessing. So we want to give whatever we give, service, time, talent, money, presence, to give it with a blessing. If you want to text an offering today, the number is up here on the screen. You can do that. If you want to give in a different way, the backside of your bulletin on the lower left corner tells you all the ways you can do that. If you have a physical gift you're giving today, I want to invite you now to hold it to your heart, or to hold it in your hands with your loved one if you're giving it together. And we all say this blessing in unison together. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is. Please go ahead.
My main takeaway from my first 53 years or so of living is that personal growth is going to come in fits and starts, and that I'm just as likely to need to relearn something as I am to need to learn it the first time. So here is a song on that subject. Hope you enjoy it. Shouldn't I be grown up by now? Shouldn't I have finally figured out a few things? I ain't a kid anymore. Didn't I go through this back then? Why the hell do I need to again? Who said time was a cure? For a minute I'm the man that I wanna be, then up comes some adult non-emergency, and my costume comes apart. And I've lost count of the steps and the slips and bad habits I was sure would lose their grip, but still clinging to my heart. And I'm wondering why I learn and I forget. Yeah, I learn and I forget. Oh, I learn like I'm just getting started. Why do I learn and I forget? Yeah, I learn and I forget. Oh, I learn that life ain't for the faint-hearted. That's my wife singing backup. How many lessons have been laid to rest? How many wins are just rewritten regrets? No, I can't understand. Too much to understand. How many yeses gonna sound like no? Maybe it's best to let my memory go. Now that it's made the man I am, still I'm wondering why I learn and I forget. Yeah, I learn and I forget. Oh, I learn like I'm just getting started. Why do I learn and I forget? Yeah, I learn and I forget. Oh, I learn that life ain't for the faint-hearted. No. Oh, I wish I could say wisdom comes with age. Why do I learn and I forget? Yeah, I learn and I forget. Oh, I learn life ain't for the faint-hearted. Oh, why do I learn and I forget? Yeah, I learn and I forget. Oh, I learn like I'm just getting started. Why, oh, why do I learn and I forget? Yeah, I learn and I forget. Oh, I learn that life ain't for the faint-hearted. Oh, no. I learn, and I forget. Life ain't for the faint-hearted. No. Thanks.
So we're the brave ones. We took on life, not for the faint-hearted. And so we do together, on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, we all of us bless the offering. And those of you online too, all of us bless this offering. And we send it out into the world in recognition of the value of spiritual growth at every single moment for every single person. And so it is. Now, if you happen to be with us for the very first time this morning, I want to draw your attention to Galen at the back table here. She has the welcome packets, and you're welcome, if this is your first Sunday with us, to go back and pick up a welcome packet, and the other handouts that are out there are for you. Inside the welcome packet, there's a blue card that says welcome right on it. We're going to invite you to fill that out and give it to Galen. And if you do that, she's going to give you a little book, Nourishing Thoughts, which is easy to carry and is a good uplift for the moments when you need it, when you're feeling disappointed or envious or just stuck. It's a great tool. So we give that to you as a thank you for being here today, and also as our invitation to come back and be with us often in the future. We would love that. And for all those who gave service this morning and helped us make sure that we put this day together so that it could be welcoming for all of us, let's acknowledge all these folks that did that today. And I want to acknowledge Leslie, who put the altar together. And I want to acknowledge those who were seated at the prac table this morning. I don't know if anybody's here to offer prayer, actually, today, because our regular person isn't here. So if you're a practitioner and you'd be willing to do some prayer work with people after the service, I want to invite you to go over to the table after the service, even if this isn't your Sunday, because people shouldn't have to go away if they need a prayer. So these are the folks that helped us out today, and we're really grateful for all of them. Once again, we're going back to the San Francisco Marin Food Bank, and that is coming up on Tuesday, October 10th, because the September date, the 12th, is in 2 days. It's too late to sign up for that date. But you can still contact Ellen Nicosia about the October date if you'd like to participate. And it's just 2 hours. It's noon to 2 p.m. Ellen needs to hear from you by the 3rd of October to put you on that list, because the food bank sets aside a certain amount of work for each group of volunteers coming in. So do sign up, and then if you have signed up, be sure you show up so that we don't end up with more work than our volunteers can actually accomplish for them during that 2 hours. You can also ask Deborah about that, Deborah Irwin, who's standing up at the back. If you're going to be here for a minute after the service, I don't know. But Deborah can certainly tell you about the food bank. She has participated in that as well. Now, I have count them, two people who've signed up for the membership class today. I was hoping for at least 3. You want to participate? Okay, Jane, that's great. So, talk to me after the service, And what I'm going to do is I'll send the Zoom link out, and we'll meet from 1:30 to 3:30 today for the first of 3 Sundays, where we meet from 1:30 to 3:30 on Zoom. And nobody has to join just because they took that class. But you do have to take all of it and show up for all of it in order to become a member. So we encourage that participation, and current members are welcome to participate in the membership class. It's just you want to hang out with new people and, get an update on Golden Gate for whatever reason. Then the reception for the new members will be on Friday, September 29th, and that's going to be at my house. So we're going to have a lovely time there. And then Sunday, October 1st, is New Member Sunday, and that will be the Sunday that all the current members who can come, we want you to come and stomp and cheer and make noise for the new members that day. Deal? October 1st, make sure. All right, so that's great. And thank you, Jane. Do talk to me after the service, and we'll make sure we get that taken care of. If you are somebody who sings privately when nobody's looking, like in the shower or in the car or when you're out walking just to yourself when there's nobody around, but you like to sing, think about coming and singing with this group. They meet out on the patio at 9:20 on Sunday morning, and they sing together just because they love it. And then occasionally they're also going to sing for us up here. So Bruce is right here, Bruce Stagbrook. Talk to Bruce if you're one of those who'd like to sing, and he will tell you all about it, okay? Bruce is our vocal cheerleader for everybody out there for singing. Also want to let you know that this Wednesday, our Wednesday meditation is a Taizé service. That is one that is an hour of entering into that praying without ceasing, where we meditate together, we have prayer, we have readings, we have music, and it's very kind of contemplative and inward. Anybody can join us on Wednesday at 8:15 for the meditation. Just go to our website, to the calendar page, which is under the tab that's events/classes. Go to the calendar page, look up Wednesday, and click on that event. And then on its page, you'll find the link, the Zoom link, and you can come and join us for Taizé. I also want to say, and I don't have a slide for this, that Amanda and I are going to be going out of town tomorrow for a couple of days because Tuesday is our 30th anniversary. And so our intention is to be back on Wednesday in time for Taizé, maybe a little bit earlier so I can put the thing together. But we will be back, but in the meantime, we'll be gone. And so we just want you to, celebrate inwardly with us, or outwardly if it serves you to do that. And finally, I want to talk about the prayer request box and prayer. So if there's not a practitioner available for you this morning to pray with you, please put your written request in the prayer box, and we'll make sure that those get picked up and prayed over this week for the full week, because usually it's the practitioners at the table who do the prayer during the week for what goes in there. So do not hesitate to put your prayer request in, because the manifestation to prayer that's requested starts as soon as you drop that in the box. And the reason that's true is because there's no time or space in spirit. So your request for prayer is immediately met by the prayers that haven't yet been prayed for it, because in God they're already done. Does that make sense? Well, even if it doesn't, it's still true. So put your request in. There's a little information about practitioners over there also that you can pick up, or talk to any one of our practitioners with a stole on if you have questions about practitioners this morning. And that is it. So I'm going to invite the practitioners. Oh, yes? Oh, sorry, I meant to put that in. In San Rafael. Yeah, this is Susie Coity. Please talk to Susie if you're willing to show up and help do the shoreline cleanup. It should be a beautiful day. And it is National Cleanup Day, or what is it? International Cleanup Day. Hey, what could be better? You're joining in consciousness with people all over the world. And that's from 10 to 12. And the gloves, the garbage bags, and snacks are all provided. All you have to do is show up on time, maybe wear a hat if it's real sunny, put on some sunscreen, bring your friends, and bring some water. And anything else, Susie, they need to know? Great, so they'll be there from 10 to 12. If you can't be there right at 10, that won't disqualify you. But do talk to Susie this morning for more information. I'm so sorry I didn't get the slide in. I said that I would, and I forgot. My apologies. Okay, please stand now and join me for the closing blessing and song. So we say this once again all together. I now walk so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness, for spirit and all people and I are one eternally. And so it is. And usually I pray before I do that, right? So close your eyes real quick. Just as the kids used to say at Asilomar for meal blessings, God bless the food, God bless the cook, God bless us, let's eat. We know right now that God is all there is, and we are that, and it is good. And so it is. Let's sing. Oh, by the way, he's going to talk for a minute and a half.
All right, ready to sing something with me to close?
If you want to sit down for a second, I'll have you stand up when he's done.
At least once or twice before, but it actually fits this theme really well because I've always focused on realistic expectations for myself, as often as I can. I'm going to try to do my best work, do the best I can do today, and acknowledge that it won't be perfect and that, with any luck, tomorrow I'll look back and say, I could have done that a little better. And every day, tiny incremental growth and improvement, right? And of course, as the last song said, sometimes the occasional step backward before the next step forward, right? Well, a song called Love Is My Decision is not about being Saint Danny. It's not about being perfect and about choosing to be loving in every circumstance because, oh no, that is entirely too much pressure. This song is about incremental personal growth, about choosing in any given moment to try to open up just a tiny bit, be a little bit more kinder, a little bit more compassionate, a little bit more patient. Not easy to do. Nobody does it all the time. So as you're singing this song, I invite you to consider some area in your life, not where you could show up as Saint Perfect, but where you could show up just a little bit softer hearted, just a little bit more open and kind. That's it, just a little. Here we go. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to the next time.
Karen Drucker has a concert today at 4 p.m. at the O'Hanlon Center for Arts in Mill Valley with her band.
Love is my
decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here and now. Love is my decision.
It's up to me.
It's up to me.
Stand on that bridge.
To stand on that bridge. Love is my decision.
No one else. right here and now. My decision right here and